I mean, listen, I've done the Golden USP podcast and I was hooked up with food from Gold Hours, a little bit of a wrestle to get a second meal out of the geek room, but here it is. They hooked me up with a nice pizza, not that chintzy shit. So if you want me on your podcast, here's the deal. I'll do it, but the first one is going to cost you a lot more. I want you to pay for exactly what the Geek Room paid. And what the Geek Room paid for the first podcast was a night at the Motel 6. And they also bought me a $25 meal at Denny's and had it delivered. I said, look, guys, you want to send me a Little Caesars? I'm not really down for that. A lot of the guests, they just came on to shit on me. Well, I don't really appreciate that. And those guests were told that they're never going to get to come on anymore because they just spent their time pooping in my mouth verbally. That's not really what the word about, okay? If you want me on your podcast, one, be respectful towards me, and two, pay me beforehand. If you want that podcast, that first podcast that you have me do, I'm going to have you pay me with a stay at the Motel 6 and at least a meal as good as this one here. If you want me to do a second podcast, I'll make it a little easier on you. And it would just be the meal itself. But like we get a couple of these Motel 6 days and meals before I get my Cash App set up with the new debit card. That's just as good to me as money, Eventually, I'm going to get a new debit card on that Cash App. I had that ordeal with PayPal last year. But I'm going to charge you like $50 an hour, which is basically what these guys paid anyway. They paid like $110 for that first hour and a half. Don't have me on your podcast if you're just going to kick me down a notch and call me names, because I'll call you names in return, bitch. But I think you get the gist of what I'm saying here. I mean, I've done two podcasts. I've done the Geek Room, kind of working with them a little bit now, and I helped Gold Hour. And Gold Hour, he was laid off because of COVID-19 in Canada. One's getting his government stipend of a UBI of $1,000 a month, or $1,400, I think it might be in Canada. But he was still paying me like 2 meals to do a podcast. Like he was a mall worker who was laid off for 6 months to work minimum wage at a candy store, Lindt chocolate in the mall in Toronto. Minimum wage. Like trying to go to school. But he paid handsomely. I got to hand him that. He paid handsomely. He might be insulting me now. But he paid handsomely. He paid like, he gave me a gallon of soda one day and like 2 burgers. So, I mean, if you can't do at least that for a podcast, go fuck yourself. I'm not here to do your podcast for you. I've done 2 already. If you really want the worm that bad, plank down. Pony up. The Geek Room. I thank you, Kings. This is the shit. I don't know about that chick that was on the show saying that she looked 18 when she was 30. She fucking didn't look 18 to me. She looked like she was 30. She's just full of herself. Billy, he was there, a big beard guy. He was a guest. He was talking about how, I'm a child. I'm immature for a 40-year-old, but he's telling me how his fiance constantly calls him a child. And then that chick was like, 18-year-olds are dumb. But then she accused me of generalizing, making generalized statements when she made a generalized statement. I'm not here to work with hypocrites. You know what I'm saying? You're some sort of like pearl-clutching Democrat. I'm not here to really work with you. I'm not really into Trump. I'm a left-wing. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just have the Wern on to shit in his face. You know what I'm saying? Don't just have me on to be a toilet for your mouth diarrhea. And pony up before the show. At least it's good. You know what I'm saying? I know you know what I'm saying. So we're going to do another podcast with the Geek Room on Monday. You have people on to insult me, I'm going to insult them back. I might get real coarse and drop some homophobic stuff. Call me a creep, I'm going to call you a homophobic slur. Or a bitch. But hey, you had me on the podcast. And I was nice on that podcast. Just expect to have a video made of you in return if you're a little bitch towards me or a little asshole. That's what I do. I stand up for myself. This is some bomb-ass pizza. It's spicy. Have the goods. The Wern ain't no bitch.